Hi everyone, in this video we'll talk about the rbind function that is used to just attach new rows to an already present data frame in R. Let's say you have a data frame of students in having a particular set of marks for a particular subject, and you only have 10 students in that data frame. Now you conducted the test for another 10 students and you want to make sure that all 20 students are in the same data frame rather than analyzing two different data frames, right? So rbind function comes in handy in those cases, and in this set of code that we are going to run on the screen, we'll be doing the exact same thing. So just before we start, we should clean the console. If you see, you should clean the console by pressing Ctrl plus L. You see the right side, it has been cleared, and the environment should be empty as well. So for environment should be empty, we should use rmlist is equal to ls. Please refer to the video on the top right card if you haven't already seen it before. It just explains why this function works the way it works, right? Okay, so executing this chunk now, you see the environment becomes empty, and now we can start with the process. Now let's assume that there was a maths test conducted in a school for a particular class, and it was conducted in two different rooms for each half of the class, right? It's a very common scenario to accommodate each student and to to ensure that there is no cheating. You have a lot of spaces in between, right? So 10 students were in one class, 10 were in another class, but the test was the same. Now df1 is the data set that has maths scores for roll numbers 1 through 10, and df2 is for 11 through 20, right? And the next set of code chunk is not important for you. It's just a randomized data set that I'll create to show you how rbind function works. So now executing this set of code. Now you can see df1. Df1 is 20 students. Of course, when you sit in an exam, you are not seated by roll call. You are seated in a very random manner to make sure that seating arrangements are not in a proper way. So 1 to 10 roll numbers have marks of random nature. Similarly, df2 will be roll calls 11 through 20 in the random nature for mathematics marks only. So the exam is the same, it's just that they were conducted in two different rooms. Now we need to combine it into one data frame to calculate whatever analysis we want to do on these 20 students, right? So moving ahead, now we'll use the rbind function to combine marks for students of two groups of the same class. So like group 1 was in room 1, group 2 was in room 2. Now we'll attach both on top of each other, right? So rbind does is take rows from dataset 1, take rows from dataset 2, and combines it into one, right? So the nomenclature is fairly simple. You just use rbind, first dataset, comma, second dataset. If all the columns are same in both the data sets, it will work perfectly fine. Otherwise it'll throw an error that you don't have the same amount of rows or columns that you can add. Executing this chunk now. Now we have a new data set called df row combined. Now I'll click on it and show you to you. So you see that exactly after 10th row, all of the rows from 11 through 20 have a roll call 11 through 20, of course in a randomized manner. And we have a data set now that we can analyze in R. Now, if you notice that this data set does not look very neat, right? I mean, when you're analyzing something or when you're seeing the marks, you would want it sorted in a particular manner, maybe with highest to lowest marks, or maybe in a roll call, right? Like from roll numbers 1 through 20 in a particular order, because roll numbers are basically based on alphabetized calls, right? So can we make it a bit better and a bit neater for us to analyze? So there is a library or a package called ddplyr, where there's a function called arrange, right? We can use this to make sure that our data can be sorted by the id, like roll numbers 1 through 20, what were their marks, right? So if you see this df rows combined, I'm just using the pipe operator. This is called the pipe operator. I'm just piping this data set into an arrange function which is available in the dplyr package, right? So when I pipe something, I'm running that data frame through that function, right? So when I run that data frame through an arrange function on the id column, it just sorts them out. So running this chunk now, you can see there's a new data set created called df rows combined sorted through dplyr package. I click on this and you see the data set is much more pretty now. It's 1 through 20 in a particular arrange manner, and it works. I can similarly do it for maths scores as well, and it will arrange from top to bottom. or like bottom to top, like who got the lowest marks and the highest marks. So you can just work around with dplyr package to do very, similar kind of analysis and very straightforward kind of thinking from the dataset perspective. Now, if we don't want to download a new package, right, we just want to use the basic functionality of our, I don't want to learn a new package just to do some basic functions. There is a way to do that as well. Now, for that, you need to use a order function that is present in base R. That order function, it works like this. You take the dataset df rows combined, which we used before in dplyr package as well, and you add an order function inside the data frame. So whenever we open square brackets, we go inside the data frame, and we are telling that in the df rows combined, order it by id. So this is the syntax that you should follow if you want to order a particular data frame by id or by any of the columns present in that data frame. So when I click on this chunk, a new data set is created, which like df rows combined sorted using base R. Base R means we didn't add any new package. This is already available in base R. Now when I click on this, I get the exact same output as I would have got from dplyr package. So the crux is, you don't need to use fancy packages. There is functionality in base R as well, till there is, and you can use any of the ways to achieve the same outcome that you want to achieve, right? So this is how you use rbind function in R to just add rows on top of each other and analyze your data in a particular data frame, right? Thank you for watching this one. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.